loyalty. Praise our Savior who granted us the freedom. Allegiance to the hero who brought the land together. Glory to glory, we rise and never to fall. Here in a nation, flowing with earth and holy. Glory, glory, glory to the Father for making you a nation, a joy forevermore. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meeting our need. And your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God being the watchman of this nation. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meeting our need. And your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God being the watchman of this nation. Hail, hail, hail this land of glory. We the Amazonians pledge our loyalty. Praise our Savior who granted us the freedom. Allegiance to the hero who brought the land together. Glory to glory, we rise and never to fall. Here in a nation, flowing with earth and holy. Glory, glory, glory to the Father for making you a nation, a joy forevermore. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meeting our need. And your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God being the watchman of this nation. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meeting our need. And your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God being the watchman of this nation.
Fellow Ambazonians, this day 58 years ago was a memorable day in our history, the 1st of October 1961. Today, it is marked by a deep feeling of conviction in our collective efforts towards our restoration quest, and as a people filled with unquenchable zeal and fervency, I can confidently attest on this very special occasion of our 58th anniversary of the United Nations declared independence of former British Southern Cameroons, which is also the second anniversary of the restoration of that independence due to the annexation and the continuous occupation of our territory by the colonial French Cameroon. That our consistency and persistence to realize the dream of a free homeland, Southern Cameroon, Ambazonia, remain unshakable. On this same day, 2 years ago, my predecessor, President Sako made the ultimate declaration that officially restored the stolen dignity of our people. This was met, unfortunately, with extreme aggression by the colonial regime of La République du Cameroon, as they declared war against us exactly 2 months after. That was on the 30th of November 2017. Their agenda to exterminate us as a people has led to the barbarism that Ambazonians are now experiencing. The enemy, French Cameroon, has unleashed a genocide on our people, an extreme genocide whose barbarism is recorded in real time with horrific images published on social media, but largely have been ignored by the good people of the world, allowing despicable carnage to be perpetrated by the reckless dictator Paul Biya with absolute impunity. Who could have thought that in this day and age, the strategy of barbarians used in the 5th century will be adopted by Biya's genocidal squads as their modus operandi to quench the peaceful quest of a people yearning for their rights and freedom? Who could have thought that when Paul Biya declared war, brandishing his well-equipped and trained military, the BIR, his intention was to use mundane tactics of burning our towns and villages, a scorched earth policy that has led to more than 300 Amazonian villages and settlements completely razed down by dictator Paul Biya's military. Who could have thought that the dreaded BIR, an elite French Cameroonian military unit led predominantly by the tribesmen of Mr. Biya, will roast alive frail Amazonian senior citizens in their homes? Yes, that was the fate of 96-year-old Mami Api of Kwakwa village and 74-year-old Manda of our village, still fresh in our memories. Biya's killer soldiers have burned at least 77 salty Cameroonians alive, including women and children in their homes. Who could have thought that baby Mata, who was only 4 months old, and baby Abigail, who was just 6 months old, will be shredded in cold blood with armor-piercing bullets by these Biya's terrorists in French Cameroon military uniforms? As of today, more than 15,000 Amazonians have been wasted in this senseless war, and this is just a conservative estimate. With corpses littered everywhere in Amazonia and mass graves scattered around the territory and in the neighboring La République du Cameroon. Some discovered just a few weeks ago in the backyard of Yaoundé, in a place called Soa. It is evident that an exact estimate of Amazonian lives, the lives we have lost during this genocide, will only be known after the war is over, or when dictator Paul Biya will allow access for the UN-led investigations. Make no mistakes, every Amazonian life will ultimately be accounted for, whether King Biya or his cohorts know it or not. My dear compatriots, every 26.8 seconds, an innocent Amazonian is being killed in the bushes and in the streets of by Biya's men. Thousands are also dying of wounds, diseases, or dying of childbearing because of this senseless war. Before the end of my address, at least one innocent Amazonian would have been killed again in our homeland just because he or she is a southern Cameroonian Amazonian demanding for freedom. The number of IDPs in our territories is now in the millions. Many are hiding in bushes with no means of survival. They are exposed to all kinds of dangers without shelter, with no food, no medications. The number of refugees crossing the borders to French Cameroonian territory, to neighboring Nigeria, or as far as South America, Mediterranean Europe, and other African countries is skyrocketing. They embark on these risky journeys, running away from the 2-year-old brutal war on our civilians, causing many to die prematurely. Many have been raped, dehumanized, or locked up in foreign prisons with no means of livelihood. Let me use this opportunity to thank the neighboring state of Nigeria and Ghana, which have shown great hospitality to our people residing there. I also extend my gratitude and the gratitude of the people of Amazonia to the people of Mexico, Cyprus, and Arab nations for the kindness they have continued to extend to our fleeing citizens who are trapped in their countries. Many thanks to all local and international humanitarian organizations, especially the United Nations Coordination for Humanitarian Affairs, that have constantly channeled resources to cater for our affected populations. As we leave no stone unturned to make sure that our cause has a priority place on the international stage amidst the ongoing genocide, we continually salute the bravery of our brothers and sisters who are taking on the most patriotic task of defending our homeland. Yesterday, I was informed of one of our heroes, a commander in Moyuka, who fell in battle. He did vow to free his homeland, and in doing so, has paid the ultimate price. Let's all reflect on the magnitude of sacrifices these brave Amazonians undertake to defend our people and territory, and challenge ourselves on our commitment to this liberation struggle. The blood of Commanders Obi, Ivo, Biabia, Beltus, Tiger, Lake, and that of other fallen heroes who have gone before us should fortify our determination to make sure we present to them and generations yet unborn the ultimate crown of this liberation struggle, a free homeland. My dear compatriots, as we commemorate the 2nd anniversary of the restoration of our independence, let us reflect on how the stewardship you bestowed on us to prosecute this liberation war as your interim government has fared. Amidst the self-inflicted wounds caused by some compatriots who have been majoring on destroying the interim government and opting for the loss-loss option instead of a collective win-win approach, we still have steered the ship of our liberation quest, focusing unrelentingly on 5 key aspects. Aspect number 1, grassroots mobilization. 2, collective collaboration. 3, aggressive international diplomacy. 4, institutional restructuring. And 5, continuous self-defense. First, as concerns grassroots mobilization, the Amber Peace Plan, which was instituted last year, now serves as the umbilical cord linking our compatriots on ground zero and those of us in the diaspora. The 13 counties and 61 local government areas have provided representatives who now participate in most tiers of governance and management of this revolution, making sure the voices of our people in all nooks and crannies of Amazonia are heard. Moreover, significant resource mobilization has been achieved through this plan. Second, our goal to foster collaboration amongst all our nationalist leaders has made a significant boost with the forming of the Southern Cameroon's Liberation Council and now the Amazonia Coalition Team, involving the majority of the frontline leaders or organizations of our liberation struggle. The aim of this leadership council is to put Ambazonia first, project togetherness, and articulate the aspirations of the Ambazonian people in a uniform and collective way in front of the international community. The formation of the Southern Cameroon Liberation Council was timely, as you may have noticed during our participation in the Swiss-led initiative, the pre-talks. We participated predominantly as a bloc. In Montreux, Switzerland, we established Team Ambazonia, also known as Ambazonia Coalition Team. This is a much larger platform that comprises more nationalist organizations than any other umbrella organization in our history, with a focus on preparation for the inevitable as a team. I appeal to those leaders who have not yet joined ACT to come on board. Negotiations with La République must surely happen. Whether now or after, it will be a collective endeavor between Ambazonian restorationists and La République du Cameroun. We may disagree as individuals or individual organizations, but when it comes to negotiations with the other side, we must negotiate as a team. In the days ahead, Ambazonia Coalition Team will convene a General Assembly of experts, Ambazonians and non-Ambazonians, to select our team of negotiators who will join ACT and will sit on the table with La République when the time comes. Let me use this opportunity to assure you of the fact that Team Ambazonia will represent and defend nothing short of the collective aspirations of the Ambazonian people. Let me assure all our coalition restoration forces, alive or dead, that we know why they are fighting. We know why you are fighting and dying, and we will not afford to disappoint you on the negotiation table. That is an oath that we have taken on the blood of our heroes and the ashes of our ancestors. Our diplomatic front has been characterized by more sensitization, discussions, and contacts at the international level about our case and the genocide going on in our territory. The United Nations, the US, the House of Representatives, the UK, House of Lords and House of Commons, the Commonwealth, the European Union Parliament, the Canadian Parliament, the German Bundestag, the Swedish Parliament, and many other governments and international organizations are now talking positively about our case and proposing reasonable solutions such as dialogue between both sides without preconditions. This is mostly due to the aggressive but quiet diplomacy your interim government continuously engages in. Fellow Ambazonians, the recent charade that commenced yesterday in the colonial capital of Yaoundé in the name of a national dialogue is the effect of the overall pressure that is being exerted on dictator Paul Biya and his CPDM genocidal regime through our collective efforts. I signed a presidential order barring any bona fide Southern Cameroonian, Ambazonian, from participating in the La République monologue because it does not concern us, the people of Southern Cameroon. We have laid down clear criteria that will create an enabling environment for any negotiations or dialogue to take place between our two nations, which are as follows. 1. A willing host country. 2. A mutually agreed neutral third party or mediator, a state or suprastate structure, or the United Nations. And third, the release of all our compatriots in prisons and the withdrawal of all alien combat forces from our territory. Some form of mediated informal dialogue is necessary to prepare the ground for a negotiated settlement between our two countries. But we cannot tolerate anyone to enter into negotiations with La Republic on our behalf when these conditions have not been fulfilled. Therefore, we consider the ongoing meeting in Yaoundé an exercise in futility, where the colonial regime is only trying to package decentralization for the international community, for unionists, and some unstable activists, and escape from the real solution to the present conflict, a mediated negotiation. Let me use this opportunity to appeal to our compatriots who are still sitting on the fence. Instead of getting actively involved in their local government, please join the liberation train. This is our opportunity to fight the occupier, local government by local government, as though there shall never be negotiation. My dear people, is it not bad faith and reckless arrogance that a few days before Bia's speech announcing this monologue, his kangaroo court sentenced our leaders to life imprisonment? We all know that their sentencing or the sentencing of our leaders cannot be valid, while the same regime continues to despise the Abuja High Court verdict, ordering their return to Nigeria with subsequent compensations. Just a few days ago, one of our outspoken compatriots, Mr. Abdul Karim Ali, who represented the voices of Ground Zero in the just ended preparatory session of the Swiss-led talks, was abducted by Bia's genocidal squad upon his return from Switzerland. How can we trust any invitation to talks in La Republique by such a regime? We continuously call on the genocidal regime of La Republique du Cameroon to free all our compatriots held in their prisons and dungeons. We cannot be calling for any form of dialogue to resolve an issue while you jail those who dared to raise the issues. As stipulated in my order last week, any Southern Cameroonian Amazonian who is attending the La Republique so-called national dialogue in violation of our laws is not representing Amazonia and is hereby declared persona non grata in Southern Cameroons. We call on our restoration forces to arrest all Southern Cameroonians attending the CPDM charade in Yaoundé, purporting to represent our communities or to speak for our restoration forces. Many have been given fat envelopes. They are hereby advised to remain in La Republique. If they return to Southern Cameroons, they should be arrested and be levied a fine of between 200,000 to 500,000 francs CFA for their residence permit. The exact amount shall be determined by the local government administrators. Failure to pay the prescribed fine, such individuals should be repatriated to La Republique, where they now belong. Fellow Amazonians, we have restructured our institutions as stipulated by the Constituent Assembly, General Assembly of the Amazonian Stakeholders Strategic Conference, the ASSC, that took place in April of this year at Berlin, Germany. As a consequence, we ordered the first ever national audit, which shed more light on the management of our finances. This was a confident building step geared towards transparency and accountability. Moreover, structures to foster better accountability and transparency, as recommended in ASSC Berlin, have been put in place, made up of representatives of counties and local government. These include the Audit Committee, the Treasury, and Procurement Boards. These institutions bring in grassroots participation in the daily management of our revolution. We therefore appeal to all Amazonians to invest in their liberation by paying their compulsory independence dues, CID, an initiative intended for you, citizens, to continuously commit and invest financially in your liberation. This is the first step into applying for your citizenship certificate and national ID. The website again is www.cidamazoniacitizens.com. The Vice President, Dr. Abongwa, will be formally launching this initiative in the days ahead. My dear compatriots on Ground Zero, fellow Amazonians, without you, there will be no revolution. There will be no dream of a free homeland. You have taken the challenge to defend our homeland. You have faced the Biaf's barbaric genocidal squads with unrivaled courage that can only come from the Almighty God. Your strength and resilience in defending yourselves in whatever way you can stem from the amber spirit that is in you. When we asked you to sacrifice 3 weeks for lockdown in response to the sentencing of our leaders and the disappearance of our compatriots, you did it despite the challenges. You showed the enemy that you are in charge. Thank you. Great compatriots, you are the reason why we stay motivated in our collective resolve to win this liberation war and be free. Why can we in the diaspora not emulate the spirit of sacrifice of our compatriots on Ground Zero? Why? What is our complaint for not investing wholeheartedly in this liberation war when we have the luxury of living in safe countries? I challenge all of you, Amazonians in the diaspora, to step up your game, join your local government area, pay your citizenship levy, pay for participation in the management of your finances. I challenge you all to do this in support of our compatriots on Ground Zero who are sacrificing their all. Let history record your participation in the liberation of your country. That is very true. It's a true patriot's wish. Dear compatriots, on this solemn commemoration of the restoration of our independence, as we organize protests and come together, let us always reflect on the special ways about those who have lost their lives while defending our people and our homeland and make contributions to this struggle. They are our true heroes and heroines. Let us think of all the innocent Amazonians whose lives have been cut short just because they are Amazonians. Let's always observe a minute of silence. We will never forget you, great patriots. Your spirit should rattle those who consciously or unconsciously are trying to derail the reason why you paid the highest price for the freedom of our people. We will overcome. Independence now and politics later. God bless you all. God bless the Federal Republic of Amazonia. Thank you.
Hail this land of glory, we the Amazonians pledge our loyalty. Praise the soul of Savior who granted us the freedom, and legends to the hero who brought the land we gather. Glory to glory, we rise and never to fall. Here in a nation, flowing with earth and holy. Glory, glory, glory to the Father for making you a nation, a joy forevermore. Amazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meeting our needs, and your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God being the watchman of this nation. Amazonia, land of freedom, you shall live